What's up, you guys? I am back. This is video number 3 that I'm making tonight. Don't judge me. But I'm really into it. Ever since we hit Ashton's story, I just can't put it down. So I'm just going to keep recording until I get either exhausted from the heat in this room. Like, despite the fact that it's 9:30 at night here, it is like 85 degrees in this bedroom right now. And, well, my office, I should say. Because it's a bedroom, but I use it as an office. And it is just so hot, and I'm sweating like an animal. And I have probably gone through a good liter of water since I've started doing this, because my throat is just drying out like crazy. But speaking of that, I'm going to take another drink real quick. Ugh, I love water. Does anybody else love water? I love water. I could drink water and let that be like exclusively what I drink. If I could get like caffeine to put in it, because I'm also a huge coffee fiend. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So we just left Briar Realty after getting a bunch of stuff and almost getting caught by the crazy ghost woman in the elevator while trying to leave. Ashton obviously spent the night at Isabella's house, so that should go over real well when we see Rebecca. So yeah, let's get started. Whew. I'm still a little flustered from the last episode. If you have not seen it, you should. Go back. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, both her arms under her head while she continues to rest. Then to the chaos of papers and folders I've left scattered over it before sleep claims both of us. We've bunkered down for the night, here last night. After both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part, staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone, and there's that woman. Is she still one in the first place? One that we normally call a human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck, I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
I feel you on that, Ash. Not that thinking about this still matters when all our lives are in our hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her and this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon. I can't let that happen. I've dallied on this long enough. Left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention at this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It's caught my eye the night before, but with the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned at the top of the page, however, provides the paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
Aww. I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice, completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It has been 5 years after all, but I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she's never given up on it. Let me say this right now. It's never too late to chase your dreams, people. Never. It's never too late. Remember that. Despite how things panned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. As silly as this may sound coming from I cannot talk. Coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring what the deal with the curse is, I'll do so. Only to see that same smile on her from that time again. These days, the only moments she seems to show it is when she's asleep, like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears. A smile of my own forms, despite this, when I glance at her sleeping form again. She hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in a slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You won't think she has any problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I've gotten it, carefully so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way, and finally push myself off my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off from the floor and over to her bed, but doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly, though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back to a deeper state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movement earlier, but the small smile on her lips still remains. One I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way. Better to leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about her problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her. A moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it, after everything she has been put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. With all this talk of, like, sleeping, it's making me tired. Isabella will definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them. Cold Luxburn air meets me upon stepping out the hallway. Not unusual in itself. This is what Luxburn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly drab with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky's clear, but I'll give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rains for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in the world when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare, that's probably all this is. Usually I'll say, I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things. Hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What is Zach? What is Rebecca? Z-Man has mentioned dreaming about a woman. Whether it's the same one we've been seeing, I've yet to ask. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer or a way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it, too. She will go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up Becca's door, one slow step at a time. A stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put up the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this when there's a 90% chance she's still pissed about a whole different matter. It's the whole reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. We'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella, but even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure she's heard me, even if she's asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and in the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
Jesus. My hand pauses, short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. Oh, God, he's a huge asshole, too. Course of action, so people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. He has done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colorful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so. But at least she's not alone. She should be safe, in theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing, continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. It's better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they would be. Assuming the worst comes next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason, I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it is an anxiety from concern dulls judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling out my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's number listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay with me for some reason. Without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there. The next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the last comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't the helpless damsel in distress, after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sounds alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when on the 9th ring it goes straight through her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice open when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Oh, she's at the library right now. Right. Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. Oh my god, they're so cute! The girls stuck by me no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues, too. I have many of them to count, and refuse to deal with for a time. At least that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It has mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor, mostly. But at times I do wonder if it'll still burden me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things, I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me? In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right Tough times, but she stuck with me, snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left in her voicemail, then on my third call I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay at the very least, whatever he has planned doing. All I'm asking is for it not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things. Rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he's not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it? Can't be. The guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than what I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or a power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in and out of range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to. Well, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zach's the one who puts up with me most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie, but I've grown thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend. Though it's more than that. A camaraderie no words can express. He has my back, and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continued dialing for his phone another 3 times like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move the cut call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my question has already slipped out, including every pent-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
The line's choppy, though I can still make out the words he's saying. Nothing to worry about then. He's just someplace where network coverage is shitty. Can't imagine where it is this time of the morning, though. Did he go out for a jog?
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I meant that to sound as friendly as possible, to keep things light at least. Instead, only the frustration shows in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you.
Oh, shit.
I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan, a morning visit to the mansion where Luke Wright is. Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, is the best thing he can come up with, breaking and entering. I've got plenty of reasons to rail him right now. Although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately it's not the time.
No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place and hurry.
He pauses a moment, a second of indecision while he seems to contemplate his options.
How urgent is this?
In truth, the question, the hesitance and the indecision in his voice, has caught me completely off guard, and understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't one born out of a stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter how urgent it is, he still shouldn't have gone there, alone at that. Despite myself, in that split second of comprehension I'll allow it to show, a weakness. A simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand, even through the unstable signal, that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it and I'll have to drive up there myself, just to drag him away from whatever danger he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Normally, I don't let myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do so since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxbourne and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove, while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it's become a common sight after the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way. It's healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times. Good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose. Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add an quip or two for her, if the timing for a joke isn't off or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to, yet. Until Zach gets here, or until after I've received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them, so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. And there's my dog again. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only provides there might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach, Isabella.
They're all depending on me, and...
Ash!
What? The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures while she's staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease in her eyebrows grows deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, takes the empty seat right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first, before I've gotten the chance to take in what she's just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting, despite the magnitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is this, even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it, and milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is, handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging in hers. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seems too cheerful, a welcome distraction if anything. It's only after she has finished off half of the bowl that she acknowledges the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish in her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then closes. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she's remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's a tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she has proffered me not a few moments ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca is both out there. Who knows what ghosts will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present we have a chance at respite, maybe the only one we'll have. Even it's as mundane as sharing food between us, quietly, just seating side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. Take her offer. Eat your damn food, fool. The words roll off my tongue. Awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and clips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food, there's ease in it, in the muffled sound of Luxman's filtering into the room. In the light streaming from her windows and the faint drafts occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. In the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly after a minute's pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from Lux U.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where I've placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her voice when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too.
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose on her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we're not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine, most of all.
You have us.
The word startle. Why can't I say that word? Startle her to a pause. And slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology at my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a knock breaks the moment, and just as fast, both our attention shifts towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of the stone that has been struck at the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. Oh boy. The second his feet cross the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little he can see of the room for the doorway. When finds none of whatever he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look. One that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach.
His weight shifts at the same time the stiff line in his shoulders ease, once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returns her greeting in kind as soon as he lets out the breath he has been holding and the tension's finally off his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Anselm alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah Wright. Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zach made it here in one piece, but by some dumb luck he's alright, and this takes one off the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't just stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect at the exact minute, there might have been a chance he won't be standing here. That's a blessing in itself. Though, first things first, some things still need to be discussed. You promised you wouldn't do anything stupid. Specifically, the elephant in this room, and it's a damn big elephant considering the possible outcomes Zach's cute little plan might have resulted in. I might as well let off the steam first before we go to the heart of things.
Zach, we agreed you won't do anything stupid.
Really, Ashton? That's what you're gonna greet me with? No, what's up, Z-Man? I just biked through almost half of this city to get here. I could use some friendly greetings right now. An explanation would be good too if you can. You weren't very clear over the phone. And I made no such promises.
You said you're not going to do anything reckless. Your words, not mine. What you did is the exact opposite. And that's not the only problem here. Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering. And believe me, I won't be able to do anything if they do. Did that cross your mind? The whole 46-acre lot is a private property. Why were you even there?
I know, Ash. But the people in there might be in danger. Besides, I was looking for you. Didn't I tell you that?
Why on earth were you there looking for him?
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter. Sorry, I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go there, and all at once my anger wanes. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't keep berating him for assuming that, when I've only left him with vague answers. Still...
You could have called me.
I did.
You did?
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head. Oh god, please stop saying that. Writers, please stop using that phrase. It's fine, like, to use once or twice, but you've used it like 6 times, and I'm tired of hearing it. Then gradually, he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation, like my words can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all the flashes of fleetingly across her face before it melts under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from
Abruptly,
Deanwood
my
City.
phone rings again.
Baggers, watch
I'm
out.
blaring its
Can't
badly
be me.
saying
Looking
ringtone
for
throughout the
trouble?
whole
Better
room.
not lie.
Both of them
I'm a
pause,
cruel dude,
waiting when I
pretty
pull it up
fine
to
for
check
an
caller
Asian
ID.
guy.
It's Becca.
Sup,
I'll tell her to
I'm
get
Ash
here
from
as soon as she
Deanwood
can.
City.
Excuse me.
Baggers, watch out.
Without
Can't
another word, I
be
slip out of the
me.
room and
Looking
answer
for
the
trouble?
call.
Better
However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
Ragged, a bit out of breath. There's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening? happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but...
He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive, although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces, a small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for a careful observation nonetheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in place it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeable once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to a halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact someone has brought it to light. But that someone also has to make sure. Just ask her if she's okay.
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force. She almost stumbles back if Zach hasn't caught her by the elbow. Even with two more people shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library?
Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough to gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you.
Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That makes the end of it. At least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for the words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman in his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there still must be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm out hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness is falling, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smack the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We could use a little bit of optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it. Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely.
Father Norman? Him too?
Yeah, I visited him a few days ago. He was hysterical. They think he's sick, but I have a feeling what might the real cause be.
I knew it. I shouldn't have asked for his help.
He was only trying to help too. It's not your fault. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city was founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would all these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here. All we have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. At present, everything seems to point where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? How do I? The mansion is private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as soon as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few...
Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no! Oh, I need to shift too because my butt hurts in this chair. I've been sitting in it for like 4 hours! The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once the three of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm from my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work piling up documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I realize the lock from my gun. Release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. Right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside is yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to the banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. I glance at my companions and nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the door wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever is inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to... Ah!
Whoa! I'm set sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Oh shit. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of bile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Oh, this bitch here. Let me save it. Hang on. Just in case. Perhaps it's just an experience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner of her gaze that bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice, I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone who can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The hate fades from my mind and instinct kicks in and then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person in my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salem Well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Oh boy. Okay guys, we are gonna cut this here. It is now 10:30 and I am exhausted. I've recorded 3 videos tonight because I just can't put this down, but I'm well past my bedtime. But I'm gonna leave this here. It's getting real good. I'm so excited to get to the end of this because I'm dying to know how all of this is gonna wrap up. But anyway, if you like this video, please hit the video like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from me, because I know everybody's going to want to know how this ends. You have to, right? Follow me on Twitter, PCGamerGirl, and catch me on Twitch, PCGamerGirl YT. And I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.